Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 364 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob, Commander Taco Malda, and with me this week is four of the greatest geeks you will ever meet. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hemo Spates. I'm great.
I'm Rob Roseboom.
I told you it was live culture. You didn't believe me.
Yeah, well, I know science must go on, so here I am.
Well, you know, there have to be sacrifices for the greater good. This is Chris DeBona. Hi, I'm currently in a geo transfer orbit.
My weird voice losing story. I think I've said this before, but I drank a beer at a conference the night before I had to give a talk, and I know Chris Chapman was there. That's the only thing I really remember. And the waitress, I ordered something off the menu that looked interesting. The waitress then proceeded to warn me about it. She said it contains something. I couldn't hear her, probably because I was drunk, and proceeded to drink it, and it seriously tasted like battery acid. And I drank it like an idiot, and immediately lost my voice, and then the next day had to give a talk in Boston to like 100 people with a voice that sounded even worse than Rob's.
I regret last night's actions.
I have regrets.
I have a number of regrets. Last night is one of them.
Let us enumerate them. 1, she did say the words battery acid.
She never said the words battery acid. She said something like, probably, alkaline.
Because that's exactly what a waitress in Boston is going to tell you. Sir, you should be worried about this. It's very alkaline. I'm worried about your pH levels.
Yep, I got to keep it balanced. Comic-Con was last week.
And so many trailers.
So many trailers.
I was out of power all day yesterday, so I actually have not seen a lot of the material that's been... But I did... I mean, really the only thing I cared about was like the slide with Kevin Feige with Marvel Phase 4 behind him, mysteriously lacking anything involving Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, all of the heavy hitters.
Well, we know that there's another Guardians of the Galaxy coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, remember, I think I've said this in many an episode. Fantastic Four is unfilmable. It's so just dumb.
I got to tell you, man, Ant-Man could be just as stupid.
Ant-Man was always going to be cute, right? There's only one Paul Rudd, and they already used him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think Paul Rudd could pull off Mr. Fantastic. Plastic Man.
I don't know. There's somebody out there who can pull off Mr. Fantastic. The only thing that you need to do with Mr. Fantastic is you need to make his stretchy powers. You have to bound them in a more meaningful way.
I don't. Even the Abe Sapien, he couldn't do it.
No, he definitely shouldn't do it.
I just think that the Fantastic Four are just boring. Like,
they're super boring, dude.
Yeah, like they were a hero creation from a very different era and time period, and the story dynamics of that, I don't know, they just don't work well.
I think we can all agree.
50 issues. I read like 50 issues of really old Fantastic Four a few months ago, and then I read like 50 issues of relatively modern Fantastic Four about a year before that. And yeah, I mean, you're right. But the thing about the Fantastic Four that is interesting is that it's you basically get yourself a mega scientist to replace Tony Stark, spoilers, and you also then gain access in theory to Doctor Doom and Galactus. So there's
is part of the problem, man. I think so I rewatched the horrible ones, the horrible Fantastic Four.
Why? When do you have the time?
I've been on a lot of freaking airplanes, man.
That's true. Yeah, come to Chris and I spin-off series, the Why We Hate United, a Geeks in Space perspective.
You guys, the problem is that United flies too low. You got to be like a few 100,000 feet higher.
Yeah, it's true. We have to be in Leo, man. So yeah, so we'll have to take a ballistic next time.
Also hashtag my Galactus wears a helmet.
Right.
Sounds like a safe sex ad from the 80s. Don't forget to put a helmet on your Galactus. Anyways, I was watching the old Fantastic Fours, and they had like some good actors in it.
They had Chris Evans. They had Cap.
They had Chris Evans. They had what's her name from the shows?
Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba. They had even
the dude
guy
from the Shield.
They had the guy from Ben Grimm was the Shield guy. I mean, these are solid actors. They had Kerry Washington as Ben Grimm's blind girlfriend who somehow thinks that some action's going to happen with the big stone guy. I mean, like, these are good actors, and it's just the worst. It's just the worst.
It's directing and script, man.
Oh,
yeah,
so bad.
And quite frankly, it comes from the bottom up. I mean, the Fantastic Four is a terrible name for a team. I mean, what is it? Does that inspire confidence in anyone? No.
These are like Star Wars level bad namings. This is General Grievous, and
What do you mean, making a bounty hunter and naming him Greedo? You think that's a cheesy naming choice?
They're so bad at naming. They might as well come together. They should have Fantastic Four in the Star Wars universe.
So what do you guys think about the Eternals?
It shouldn't be Dr. Von Doom. It should be Darth Von Doom. There you go. Boom. I just made $1 billion for Disney.
Actually, I just saw an interesting chart today. Disney paid like $4 billion to buy Marvel. They spent the production of every single Phase 1, 2, and 3 movie. The grand total was about $4.5 billion. So they spent under $9 billion and made about $25 billion back at the box office. That's some pretty fine investing.
Sure. I agree.
But okay, so the Eternals, they said they're going to base it on the Neil Gaiman run, which oddly enough I bought 2 weeks ago and is sitting on my coffee table right now.
He's basically taken over Hollywood,
like,
whether it's Lucifer, which is a little thin in my opinion, or like Sandman coming out on I guess Netflix, and Good Omens on Amazon. I mean, he's everywhere, man.
It's the world of gaming, man. The TV shows they got WandaVision, which I actually really want to work. I like that character, and I like Vision. I thought that they both really worked.
So I like both the characters. I like both the actors, and this is a perfect example. Like, so why does that work and Fantastic Four just stink up the room so badly, right?
I think it's directing and writing, man. I think that you got to have a better script and you got to have a better writers. I think you can make as stupid of a character as you want work.
Absolutely.
And it all comes down to love, care, attention to detail. I mean, the thing about the Marvel movies is that they figured out that the way to make it work was to lean into the Marvel nerddom. And they know that there's just enough of those folks that other people will go along for the ride and they can get whirled up in that hype train. And the Fantastic Four movies is not really, it doesn't really lean into the Marvel stuff at all. It's just a crappy action movie.
Well, also, I think their success is that they focused a lot on the funny side of things and take things light. And you take Batman and all the DC stuff, it was all dark and ominous, but we were done watching The Crow after The Crow came out, 20 years ago. And Marvel just figured out, comic books are funny and fun. And
well, let's double down on that. So it's funny. So I got a thread in my head. Okay, so let me walk through it. So you know how they announced that Mahershala Ali was going to be Blade?
Yeah.
At some point, which is very exciting. I love Blade. Who didn't love Blade? It was great.
I was indifferent towards Blade.
So the first Blade, the important thing about it is on the DVD extra, they had this whole interview with the production people and whatever the low rent, Brad Dourif guy.
Just so we're clear, I'm doing a video cast with the guy who watches the extras on the Blade DVD. Is that what we're being told? Okay.
This is an important extra, okay? So they're like, when they were doing the final battle, you remember how he became the blood god and he got cut in half and he pulled himself back together? Well, originally, and they focus tested this, he turned into a blob of blood and he was fighting a blob of blood. They're like, yeah, so we tried this out on some audiences and it turns out no one really identified with a blob of blood. And I'm like, you needed to focus test that, did you? So going back to Fantastic Four, the Silver Surfer was basically like a chrome guy on a surfboard.
Yeah.
I don't think people identify with the chrome guy on a surfboard. Even in Terminator 2, the chrome guy had a cop out.
See, what I think is interesting is the backstory of Silver Surfer. Like, if that movie had been done well, or his story was done well, he would be someone that people could identify with. Like, I think his story is intrinsically more interesting than the Fantastic Four's. And people.
Well, I mean, his original story is what? Falls in love, learns humans are decent, convinces Galactus not to destroy a planet.
Well, and if they updated the surfboard to something that people relate to more now,
Rollerblades,
say like an electric bicycle or a
hoverboard scooter,
right? A Segway became on a Segway.
The silver hoverboard.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so yeah, they released it in 2022. That can be our question for the internet to answer for next week. What should Silver Surfer ride for a 2022 film release?
Yeah, that's the secret untitled project at the end of phase.
Right.
90.
Yeah.
So the other minor Marvel things that I read recently, or not Marvel but comic booky, Doom Patrol season 2 is confirmed to go, and Shield is going to the next season of Shield is going to address the snap.
Really?
Or the blip, depending on who's spoiled and who's not.
And I watched the end of the space season. When they kicked in the crap. So that was cool. I actually like it. It's still a good show.
It is middle of the pack for those movies, but I record them, I watch them, but I'd be lying if I told you I paid a lot of attention to them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a do a lot of cleaning kind of show.
So in non-nerd news,
Rob.
Listen,
Sick Rob is trying to say something.
No, go ahead.
I'm trying to save his vocals, man.
By talking over him and making him talk harder, we need to talk about being better friends, Rob.
I'm not a good friend. I see this now.
Let's give the floor to
Oh, go ahead. Go.
Ruined. Go now I want to talk about a mysterious unnamed corporation buying 4 million TCP/IP addresses, which is probably Amazon. And they bought them from a ham radio group that somehow had 12 million IP addresses unallocated since like the 80s.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. I honestly don't know if it was Google or Amazon or Microsoft, but it is a funny transaction. So it's funny because there were a lot of rules of the ARPANET and the IP address allocation that were sort of guidelines. They were never like laws. They were just like the use of .org should only be nonprofits. Like that just was thrown out the window.
What idiot would violate that rule?
What's that?
What idiot would violate that rule?
Wait, I'm confused.
So am I.
Because Slashdot.org was not a nonprofit.
Oh, wait, you figured out my subtle joke.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm working with geniuses.
Sorry, I'm in San Francisco.
I'm going to talk over top of you now so you know we're friends. No, the story was actually kind of interesting, but they just talked about how they had something like 4 million of their IPs that were allocated. They had like another 8 million that had never been allocated, and they could see based on their usage policies and everything, there was no way that these IPs would ever be used. And then they realized that with the eventual adoption of something maybe a little bit bigger than IPv4 finally catching on, that these IPs will eventually lose value. So they now have enough money. They got millions of dollars to fund their thing.
Well, honestly, they could have sold these for billions.
Billions.
No, literally. I mean, this was, I don't know, man. How much was
there? Aren't a lot of blocks like that left.
Do we know what they paid? Because
they said several million.
I would have done several hundred. But
well, I guess there's going to be some seller's remorse in ham radio land tonight.
Yeah, well, and what is ham radio land but seller's remorse,
Among the many things that carry regret in ham radio land.
There had to be something before the basement dwelling internet troll, and it turns out it was ham radio. My dad, for example.
I mean, my sister, my brother-in-law, they're huge hams. I mean, hams are the nicest people.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
They remind me of a lot of the open source folks in the 90s. It was a much more chill environment.
You know, like they're just these genuine nerds, and it's just like, you know what? This is great.
It's not a pastime that a lot of jerks are interested in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I put a video up on Taco Zone of a TinyPi, like the littlest of Raspberry Pi clones for playing video games. It's adorable, and it's actually not insanely priced. It's maybe a hobby project for somebody. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know if I want to build another one.
You can do this yourself, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather, somebody else mail me a box of the parts.
Like a pen making methodology where you're mailed the box of parts and then you provide some of the others and you're able to put it together.
Provide some level of creativity. Well, I mean, that's what these things are. They're all like kits. Right. They make you a board. Sometimes they just use a straight up Raspberry Pi, and other times they print out a custom PCB that's got like the connection points for the control buttons and stuff. But I mean, that one had a good size form factor. It's very tiny. And I was thinking, maybe making one for the kids or something. It looked like a fun one.
Looking at the form factor, I don't know why they didn't have the buttons on the right and the stick on the left and the screen right in the middle. And I'm like,
Yeah, I don't see how an adult, like Jeffrey, you do not play that device. That is not a device for you.
No. I looked at that and was like, palm. Yeah.
Yeah.
A fat finger stick to use that. Yeah.
The other one that I put up this week that I watched this whole friggin' video, and I was thinking about you, Chris, and your strange love of the Doctor Who, but there was a video of somebody went through every single missing Doctor Who episode and tracked down what's its current state. Like, is it lost? Is it found? Because all these they were taped over in the 60s.
Well, they were taped over with the huge fire,
So the video itself is actually like they do kind of two different things. One is they actually go through every season, every episode, and tell you
when Doctor Who was first created, home media wasn't really a.
That's how long it takes YouTube to start streaming on my machine apparently today. So they went through every season, every episode, and they tell you what the state of each of these things is. But the more interesting part was that they actually broke down like the why different things happened. They explained why people taped over episodes, why tapes were destroyed. They also went into a lot of how the BBC, being the BBC, had affiliates broadcasting in Singapore or Sri Lanka, like all over the world. And so there's an interesting little bit of history sort of wrapped up into that. And then the more modern end of it, they break down people who are restoring old episodes. So like a lot of people recorded audio of these things, like they just recorded broadcast audio. So they have the full audio for episodes. No, they have the full episode for a lot of the audio. And then in some cases, fans have gone through and reshot, like they've gone to original locations and reshot and like found costumes and people who are relatively the similar body types and shot scenes to replace if there's missing pieces. And there's a really interesting bit about Australia, because Australia had much more conservative broadcast standards at the time. Yeah. So people were snipping out the censored scenes that were too risque for the Australians. So they actually found all of the censored scenes that were cut out of these episodes. So there's episodes now where the episode itself is missing, but they have the full audio. And they have the video, but only the censored scenes. This video is over an hour long, and they really go through like a lot of interesting, like tangential things about like the BBC hiring animation studios or fans redoing special effects in some of the episodes where these special effects were exceptionally bad. It's a lovely little piece of nerd history and sort of nerd modern activism. And if you find yourself with an hour to spare, now I know I told you last time to watch the Jim Henson funeral thing, and I know none of you did, but that is your loss.
No.
Not a chance.
So I guess if I have an hour to spare, I can watch Jim Henson's funeral, or I can watch fan reenacted Doctor Who, or I can watch extended commentary on the Blade DVD. This is quite the media council recommendation you guys have got.
Watch all three at the same time.
Hey, man, it's a podcast, not a suicide pact. All right, you don't.
Ouch.
You know?
Ouch. So the last thing that I have on my list.
We should really mention, Chris Kraft. He died.
Yeah. Mission Control, man.
He is the equivalent. Him, Gene Kranz, like, these are the fifth Beatle of the Apollo program. It's like,
if he would have only chosen to wear a white vest, he would get to be portrayed by a bigger named actor in every Hollywood recreation of the Apollo era until the end of time. I've said this on different occasions, but fashion really matters. If you can create a single iconic look and carry that through, I was thinking about Trailer Park Boys, how they basically have worn the same outfits now for like 10 seasons. They are so incredibly recognizable. They are recognizable like a comic book character. Like, you will recognize comic book character outfits until the end of time.
Well, Ricky changes up his shirts, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Actually, I saw Trailer Park Boys for the first time like last week on an airplane.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
buddy.
I watched
First few seasons are really good.
It was extremely community theater.
Yeah.
Yes.
But man, it was fun.
They do hit a stride like 2 to 4 seasons in.
Yeah.
And then you'll just watch all the rest because you're with them until the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It's like, it's such a, like, the guy with the hair, the Elvis hair, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
Do they stick with this look for 10 fucking seasons? 10 seasons, really?
Ellen Page is in the first couple.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, man.
That's good. Now you'll understand when we say, Ricky, you can't borrow people. It will make a lot more sense to you.
Corey, Trevor, cigarettes.
Yeah.
So the last thing that I had on the Taco Zone today was that Alan Moore has officially announced his retirement.
I worry he's actually sick.
You think?
Yeah.
That man does not look healthy.
He hasn't looked healthy since the 90s.
Seriously, I met him once in person, and it was like being visited by a white.
Yeah.
YGHT, not a white person.
Actually, in this case, it could be both of them. Yeah.
No, he was kind of gray.
Oh.
He has always kind of looked like the Dark Riders,
Yeah. And I think he's still like a 2-pack a day smoker or something like that. That doesn't
And he's like full
things.
Wiccan, right? Like, sacrificing chickens and all that.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe that guy believes in anything.
Yeah.
To quote John Cleese, I've always said there's nothing an agnostic can't do if he doesn't know whether he believes in anything or not.
But no, he's he's done some good stuff. He's got, and my favorite thing about him though is that he basically disavows everything ever that's not a comic book. He's like, oh, you're gonna make a Watchmen, anything, I don't care. V for Vendetta, screw you. Every single thing that he's done that's been translated to another form, he hates it.
Yeah.
Well, and there was the HBO trailer for Watchmen that they released at San Diego.
Is there a new one?
I don't know what it's actually going to be about, but I just want it to be good. So I've decided that I like the trailer.
I think it might be Fantastic Four, though. Like, in the end.
You take that back. Ooh. Rorschach and Reed really are not the same.
I think it's really hard to film well. That's what
Yes, I think that's very true.
Like the first one. So I think I mentioned this in a previous episode. I took my team to see Watchmen at the local Century Cinema in Mountain View. And I'm sitting next to a young woman who is pretty religious. And this scene on the owl ship, the sex scene that lasts 900 minutes, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I brought the team to this shit. Oh, what was I thinking? It's just like, it was just.
But now you can end team meetings with saying, I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in this
Yes.
I think that Watchmen would have lended itself much better. Like, if it had not been a movie 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the original comic would have been a perfect TV show right now. I don't think you can do it now. But I mean, the comic book is like 12 distinct stories, and the movie had to sacrifice all the animated sequences, all the cutscenes with the pirate ships, which they actually did in the like 4-hour special edition cut, which you should definitely watch. And I've totally watched it even in the last year.
I don't know. I mean, Watchmen the movie gave us what was the director of that?
Zack Snyder.
Who basically pooped all over, the DC.
But he only got Watchmen because he hit the home run with 300.
Yeah.
So you hit a home run with 300, then you get to do Watchmen.
Honestly, I would rather they did like a TV series about Transmetropolitan.
That would be so good.
That would be good.
But
HBO doing Transmet would be good.
Yeah.
I still hold out hope that someone will do a long series of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, because that is a great story.
Not to be confused with the League of Extraordinary Dancers, which was directed by Crazy Rich Asians John Chu, who is the son of Chef Chu's restaurant, which is like a mile away.
And Kevin Bacon. Well, folks, we have rolled up to approximately our time limit.
We have a time. Well, I guess DeBona's going to run out of oxygen because I forgot to refill the canister.
We should replace Rob's oxygen with helium so that he has a ruined voice that is incredibly high pitched.
Actually, that might make it more normal sounding.
Helium and nitrogen, we talk about it like it's an alloyed good that makes your voice funny, but like too much of it and you choke. Like I've done a helium, being like, ha, it's really cute, but like I get lightheaded like that.
Yeah, but this is Rob. We don't need to worry.
He sublimates oxygen through.
No, he's our science fair project.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Next week,
also he has book lungs.
I'm all in it. I'm ride or die for science.
All right.
I mean, we're closer to dying than riding right now, but I'll get in the car eventually.
See, look, we've got the title for the episode right there: "Ride or Die for Science."
There's so many things I want to talk about too, but I know we should wrap it up. But maybe for next time, can we talk about the gateway concept for the lunar missions, which I just think is dumb.
Dude, find a link, submit it to Taco Zone, man. Or paste it into Discord, or subscribe to our fine YouTube channel, and like, and share, and tweet. Gentlemen, say your farewells.
This is Jeff saying goodbye and hoping that Malda doesn't do that voice that he just did again.
No way, man. I've got so many cool.
I am going to punch you.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Through the TV?
I was going to wait in person because I like it to be personal.
We should build punchy fists so that we can punch each other during the broadcast.
Fortunately, the slide is up, so nobody will see your violence, Chris.
Damn. Well, goodbye,
Rob,
everybody.
Chris,
Bye.
Jeff. Farewell, friends.
I already said goodbye.
And to you, our one listener, thank you for listening to episode 364. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda. 4 geeks have entered. The same 4 geeks have left. I'm pressing the button now. Goodbye.